Brahma Purana. The Moon and the Lunar Dynasty. There was a sage named Atri. Atri performed very difficult tapasya. So difficult was the tapasya that Atri's energy was thrown up into the sky. The sky could not bear this energy and hurled it down onto the earth. This energy then gave birth to Soma or Chandra, the moon god. Brahma took Chandra up into his chariot and drove the chariot around the earth 21 times. From whatever energy was left after Chandra has been created, the herbs were born. Chandra also performed very difficult tapasya. 1 Padma year consists of 10 trillion normal years. For 100 such Padma years, Chandra meditated. After the meditation was over, Brahma appointed Chandra lord over seeds, herbs, brahmanas and the oceans. Chandra also performed Rajasuya Yajna, royal sacrifice, as a celebration of his lordship. This gave him a lot pomp, glory, wealth and respect. But all this merely served to turn Chandra's head. The guru, teacher, of the gods was the sage Brihaspati. Brihaspati had a wife named Tara and Chandra abducted Tara. Despite the gods and the sages asking Chandra to return Tara, the moon god would not listen. A terrible war then raged over Tara, the gods fighting for Chandra. Shukrakarya, the guru of the demons, fought on Chandra's side and Shiva fought on Brihaspati's side. This war, Samgram, came to be known as Tarakamaya Samgram, since it was fought over Tara. Finally Brahma intervened and a truce was called. But Chandra and Tara had by then had a son, and Brihaspati refused to accept this son as his own. This son was Buddha. As you already know, Buddha married Ila and they had a son named Purvabhaga. The Brahma Purana now describes several kings belonging to the Lunar Dynasty. Yayati. In the Lunar Dynasty, there was a powerful king named Nahusha. He married Viraja and they had 6 sons named Yati, Yayati, Samyati, Ayati, Yati, and Swayati. Yati became a hermit. So although Yayati was not the eldest, he was crowned king after Nahusha. Yayati had 2 wives. The first was Devayani, daughter of Shukrakarya. And the second was Sharmishta, daughter of Vrishaparva, the king of the Danavas. Devayani had 2 sons named Yadu and Turvasu and Sharmishta had 3 sons named Drya, Anyu, and Puru. Yayati conquered the whole earth and ruled over it. When he became old, he divided the earth amongst his 5 sons. Yadu was given the lands to the east, Puru the lands in the center, Turvasu the lands to the south and southeast, Drya those to the north and Anyu those to the west. Yayati gave up his weapons and decided to travel throughout the world. He called Yadu to him and said, "I wish to explore the world and my old age is a hindrance. Please accept my old age and give me your youth in return." Yadu refused. "I will not," he said. "One cannot eat well when one is old, nor can one pleasure the comforts of the world. Old age is not pleasant. Ask one of my brothers instead." Yadu's refusal angered Yayati. He cursed Yadu that he or his descendants would never be kings. Yayati next requested Drya, Turvasu, and Anyu, but they too refused and were similarly cursed by their father. But Puru agreed to his father's request and gladly accepted the old age. He was blessed by his father. After many years had passed, Yayati got tired of the world and returned Puru's youth to him. He accepted back his old age and retired to the forest to meditate. From Puru was descended King Bharata, after whom the land came to be known as Bharatavarsha. Also in this line was King Kuru, after whom all the descendants came to be known as Kauravas. The sacred place named Kurukshetra owes its name to King Kuru. From Turvasu were descended the kings of Pandya, Kerala, Kola, and Kola. From Drya were descended the kings of Gandhara. The horses of the Gandhara kingdom are famous. Yadu had 5 sons, Sahasrata, Payodha, Krashtu, Nila, and Anjika. Sahasrata's descendants were the Hyas, amongst whom the most famous was Kartayavirya Arjuna. Arjuna pleased the sage Dattatreya and became invincible. He also had 1,000 arms. Arjuna's greatest deeds were his defeat and imprisonment of Ravana, king of Lanka. Krashtu's descendants were Vrishani and Andaka, and in the Vrishani line was born Krishna. Geography. Having heard accounts of the solar and lunar dynasties, the sages requested Ramaharshana. Tell us a little about the geography of the world. What does the earth look like? What are its limits? Ramaharshana said. The earth is divided into 7 regions, dvipas. Their names are Jambudvipa, Plakshadvipa, Shalmaladvipa, Kushadvipa, Kraunchadvipa, Shakadvipa, and Pushkaradvipa. These regions are surrounded by 7 oceans, and their names are Lavana, Ikshu, Sura, Sarpi, Dadi, Dugda, and Jala. Jambudvipa is in the center, and right in the middle of Jambudvipa is Mount Sumeru. To the south of Sumeru are the mountains Himavana, Himakata and Nishada, and to the north of Sumeru are the mountains Nila, Shvta, and Srini. Jambudvipa itself is divided into several regions, varshas. For example, Sumeru is in the middle of Ilavratavarsha. Bharatavarsha is to the south of Sumeru. To the east of Sumeru is Bhadrashvarsha, and to the west is Katamala-varsha. Arivarsha lies to the south and Ramyakavarsha to the north. Still further north is Hanmyavarsha, and beyond that, Uttarakaruva-varsha. Brahma's city is on the peak of Sumeru. It is there that the river Ganga descends from heaven and gets divided into 4 tributaries. Sita flows eastwards, Chaksha westwards, Bhadra northwards, and Alakananda southwards into Bharatavarsha. There are 7 major mountain ranges in Bharatavarsha, and their names are Mahendra, Malya, Saya, Shaktimana, Riksha, Vindhya, and Parayatra. Bharatavarsha itself is divided into 9 regions, dvipas. The names of 8 of these regions are Indradyumna, Saumya, Gandharva, and Varuna. The 9th region is completely surrounded by the ocean in all directions. To the east of Bharatavarsha live the Kairatas, and to the west the Yavanas. Below the earth lie the 7 regions of the underworld, Paitala. Their names are Atala, Vitala, Nitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, and Paitala. The Daityas, Danavas, and the snakes, Sarpa, live there. The underworld is a wonderful place, more beautiful than heaven itself. The sage Narada once went on a trip to the underworld and was amazed by its beauty. It is full of palaces and jewels. The sun rises there, but does not radiate too much of heat. The moon also rises, but its beams are not at all chilly. The forests are populated by beautiful trees, and the ponds are packed with lotus flowers. The songs of cuckoo birds are heard everywhere. Below the underworld sleeps a great snake, known as Shesha or Ananda. It has 1,000 hoods, all covered with jewels. In fact, this snake is really Vishnu in one of this various forms. Also part of the world are hells, Naraka, presided over by Yama, the god of death. Those are full of weapons, fire and poisons, and sinners are sent there to be punished. Sins that are punished by dispatch to one of the several hells are lying, murder, killing cows, destroying cities, drinking, killing brahmanas, theft, selling wines or hair, criticizing the Vedas, insulting elders, making weapons, selling salt, destroying forests needlessly, killing sheep or deer, cheating and studying under one's own son. Each sinner receives a punishment that is in proportion to the severity of his sin. Of course, if one performs penance, prayashchitta, for one's sins, one need not go to Naraka. The best form of penance is praying to Krishna. The earth, Prithivi or Bhuloka, extends up to those parts of the sky that can be lit up by the rays of the sun and the moon. The expanse from there to the solar circle is known as Bhuva Urlaka, and holy sages live there. Above the solar circle is the lunar circle, and beyond it, in succession, come the regions of Mercury, Buddha, Venus, Shukra, Mars, Mangala, Jupiter, Brihaspati, Saturn, Shani, the Great Bear constellation, Saptarshi, and the pole star, Dhruva. The region from the solar circle to Dhruvaloka is known as heaven, Svaraloka or Svarga. Beyond Dhruvaloka is Maharloka, and further away, Janaloka, Artapaloka and Satyaloka. At the end of a kalpa, all the three lokas, regions, of Bhuloka, Bhuva Urloka and Svaraloka are destroyed. But the four lokas of Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka and Satyaloka are not destroyed. Konaraka. There is an ocean to the south of Bharatavarsha. On the shores of this great ocean there is a land named Andhra or Utkala, present Orissa. Utkala is populated by a religious people, and the Brahmanas who live there are learned in the Vedas. They are very good priests, learned in the Puranas and the Shastras, and skilled in the art of sacrifices. In the land of Utkala, there is an image of the sun, Surya, known as Konaraka. The word Aditya also means the sun, as does the word Arka. Thus, Konaraka is the same as Konaraka, also called Konaraka. The image of Konaraka is so wonderful that even if one gazes at the image, all one's sins are forgiven. All around the temple there is sand. But nevertheless, many trees grow around the temple. The best time to worship the sun there is at the time of sunrise. One has to face the east and draw a lotus flower on the ground with red sandalwood. The lotus flower must have exactly 8 petals. A copper vessel has to be placed at the center of the flower and filled with paddy, sesame water, red sandalwood, red flowers and sacred grass. One prays to Surya to descend on the lotus flower that has thus been drawn. If one worships Konaraka according to these prescribed rites, the sins of 7 preceding generations are forgiven. The 12 Adityas are nothing but different forms of Surya. Their names are Indra, Datta, Parjanya, Dvashta, Pusha Aryama, Bhagavivasvana, Vishnu, Amshumana, Varuna, and Mitra. As Indra, Surya destroys the enemies of the gods. As Datta, he creates living beings. As Parjanya, he showers down rain. As Dvashta, he lives in the trees and herbs. As Pusha, he makes food grains grow. As Aryama, he is in the wind. As Bhaga, he is in the body of all living beings. As Vivasvana, he is in fire and helps to cook food. As Vishnu, he destroys the enemies of the gods. As Amshumana, he is again in the wind. As Varuna, Surya is in the waters, and as Mitra, he is in the moon and in the oceans. In each month of the year, it is a different Aditya who shines. Indra shines in the month of Ashvina, Datta in Kartika, Parjanya in Shravana, Dvashta in Falguna, Pusha in Pausha, Aryama in Vaishakha, Bhaga in Magha, Vivasvana in Jyeshta, Vishnu in Chaitra, Amshumana in Ashada, Varuna, in Bhadra and Mitra in Agrayana. Vishnu has 1200 rays, Aryama 1300. Vivasvana 72, Amshumana 15, Parjanya 72, Varuna 1300, Dvashta 1100, Indra 2200, Datta 1100, Mitra 1000 and Pusha 900. Apart from the names of the 12 Adityas, Surya has 12 other names as well. These are Aditya, Savita, Surya, Mihira, Arka, Prabhakara, Martanda, Bhaskara, Banyu, Chaitrapanyu, Divakara, and Ravi. Brahma once recounted to the sages the 108 sacred names of Surya. The Brahma Purana lists these names and we reproduce them in 9 groups of 12 names each. Surya, Arkana, Bhagavana, Dvashta, Pusha, Arka, Savita, Ravi, Gabastimana, Aya, Kala, Mritu, Data, Prabhakara, Prathivi, Jala, Teja, Akasha, Vayu, Parayana, Soma, Brihaspati, Shukra, Buddha, Angaraka, Indra, Vivasvana, Duptamshu, Shuchi, Shri, Shaneshvara, Brahma, Vishnu, Rayudra, Skanda, Vaishravana, Yama, Vadyatam, Jathara, Agni, Andana, Tajopati, Dharmadvaja, Vedakarta, Vedanga, Vedavahana, Kruta, Trita, Dvapara, Kali, Sarvajurashraya, Kala, Kashtha, Murta, Kshapa, Yama, Kshana, Samvasara, Ashvatha, Kalatakra, Vibhavasu, Shashvata, Purusha, Yogi, Vyaktavyakta, Sanatana, Kaladiyaksha, Prajadiyaksha, Vishvakarama, Tamonuda, Varuna, Sagra, Amsha, Jamuda, Javana, Araya, Bhutashraya, Bhutapati, Sarvalakanamaskrita, Shrashta, Samvartaka, Vani, Sarvati, Alalupa, Ananta, Kapila, Banyo, Kamada, Sarvotamukha, Jaya, Vishala, Varada, Sarvabhutasvata, Mana, Suparna, Bhutati, Shiraga, Pranadrana, Dhanvantari, Dhumakati, Adidva, Aditinandana, Dvadashatma, Ravi, Daksha, Pita, Mata, Pitamaha, Indradyumna and Purushottamikshtra. In Satya Yuga there was a king named Indradyumna. He was a very powerful king as Indra himself. He was handsome, honest and truthful, learned in the Shastras and the Vedas, and skilled in the use of weapons. His radiance put the sun to shame. Indradyumna was devoted to Vishnu. He once decided that he would worship Vishnu. A tirtha is a sacred place of pilgrimage. Indradyumna scanned all the existing tirthas and cities. But none of them satisfied him. None of them, he felt, was appropriate as a place for worshipping Vishnu. Indradyumna's own capital was the city of Avanti, in the kingdom of Malva. Avanti was a beautiful and wealthy city, surrounded on all sides by moats and other fortifications. Traders from many countries came there with all sorts or commodities for trading. The roads of the city were lined with shops. The houses were painted white. The king's stables were full of horses and elephants. All citizens of Avanti were pleasant of appearance and happy. Sacrifices were held fairly often. There were many temples, groves and ponds in Avanti. Any tree that grew on earth could be found there. There was a temple to Shiva in the city. This was known as the Temple of Mahakala. The image there was so sacred that worshipping Shiva in the Temple of Mahakala was tantamount to performing 1,000 Vamda yajnas. The river Shipra flowed past Avanti. On the banks of the river there was a temple of Vishnu known as Govindasvami. Another temple to Vishnu was named Vikramasvami. But Indradyumna was not satisfied with these temples. He wanted to build another temple to Vishnu. He left Avanti to look for a proper place. His soldiers and subjects accompanied their king, so that it looked as if the entire city of Avanti was on the march. After traveling for many days, they arrived on the shores of the Southern Ocean, the ocean that is known as Lavana Samudra. There were so many waves in the ocean that the ocean itself seemed to be dancing. Marine animals lived in the ocean and the waters were also the source of all sorts of jewels. Indradyumna began to live on the shores of the ocean. He discovered a place near the ocean that was thick with flowers and fruit trees. Many types of birds gathered there to eat the fruit. This was the place known as Purushottamikshtra place, the city of Puri of modern times. Purushottamakshara was a very important tirtha. But all knowledge of this tirtha had been hidden until Indradyumna arrived on the scene. There was a reason for this. Many years ago, there used to be an image of Vishnu there, where people used to pray. So sacred was the image that all the sins of the worshippers were immediately forgiven. The result was that Yama could not punish any of the sinners. They simply prayed to Vishnu's image and escaped. Yama therefore prayed to Vishnu for a solution. Vishnu hid the image under the sand so that no one knew that it existed. Indradyumna liked Purushottamakshara. The river Mahanadi or Chitropala flowed not very far away. The people who lived around the place were religious. He decided that this was the right place for building a temple to Vishnu. On an auspicious day, the foundation stone was laid. Indradyumna then got in touch with the kings of Kalkinga, Uttakala, and Koshala. He requested their help in fetching stones for the building of the temple. The kings sent their architects to the Vindhya mountains. The stones were gathered from these mountains and brought to Purushottamakshara in boats and chariots. Messengers were also sent to several other kings for aid. They came with their armies and with a lot of wealth. Indradyumna told the assembled kings, "I wish to accomplish two difficult tasks. The first is to perform an Ashvamedha yajna here. And the second is to build a temple to Vishnu. Both of these are difficult jobs, particularly the second. But if you help me, I am confident that both jobs can be done." The kings agreed to help. They offered jewels, wealth, gold, clothes, food grains and other objects. The place where the yajna was to be held was made entirely out of gold. In fact, all the objects used in the yajna were made out of gold. Brahmanas from all over Jambudvipa came to witness the sacrifice. They were donated elephants, horses and cows as alms. Never has there been any other sacrifice to rival the one that Indradyumna performed. After the sacrifice was over and the temple built, there remained the more important question of the image. How was this to be made? Indradyumna began to pray to Vishnu for guidance. Vishnu appeared before Indradyumna in a dream and said, "Why are you so miserable? When the sun rises, go to the shores of the ocean. There you will find a tree. Half of the tree is in the water and the remaining half in the sand. Chop down this tree. Its wood will give you the material for the image." In the morning, Indradyumna went to the seashore and found the tree. It was just as Vishnu had described it to be. With an axe, he chopped down the tree. As he was about to slice the trunk in two, two Brahmanas appeared before him. Although Indradyumna did not know it, these two Brahmanas were Vishnu and Vishvakarma in disguise. "King! What have you done?" exclaimed the Brahmanas. "You have cut down the only tree that was on the shores of the ocean." "Forgive me," replied Indradyumna. "I wish to make an image of Vishnu. Vishnu has instructed me in a dream that this is the tree from which the image should be made." "That is an excellent idea," said the Brahmana who was Vishnu in disguise. "There is nothing so holy as praying to Vishnu. Meet my companion. He is as skilled as the great Vishvakarma himself. If you want, he will build the image for you." King Indradyumna agreed. And instructed by Vishnu, Vishvakarma started to build the image. Or, to be more accurate, there were three different images. The first one was that of Baladeva or Balrama. This was completely white in color, except for the eyes, which were red. The image was dressed in blue and a snake held its hood over Balrama's head. A club and a mace were in Balrama's hands. The second image was Krishna's. This was blue in color, with eyes like lotus flowers. The image was dressed in yellow and had a chakra in its hand. The third image was that of Krishna's sister Subhadra. This image was golden in color and was dressed in wonderful clothes. When Indradyumna discovered that the images were made in a matter of minutes, He was thunderstruck. He realized that the two Brahmanas could not be mere mortals. He fell at their feet and said, "Please tell me who you are. You cannot be humans." Vishnu and Vishvakarma then revealed their true selves, and Indradyumna was thrilled. Vishnu blessed the king and told him that he would rule for 10,900 years. And even after Indradyumna died, a place would be reserved for him in heaven. On an auspicious day, the three images were instated in the temple. Markandeya. Many years ago, a great destruction, pralaya, took place. The earth was shrouded in darkness and nothing could be seen. There was neither sun nor moon. Lightning and thunder crushed mountains and trees. There were showers of meteors. Lakes and rivers dried up. The entire earth burnt with fire, and the flames of the fire reached down to the underworld. All living beings perished in this fire, including the gods and the demons. There was a sage named Markandeya. While all this was going on, Markandeya was busy meditating. Such was the power of Markandeya's tapasya that the fire dared not touch him. But it is also true that Markandeya was scared of the fire that raged all around him. He suffered from hunger and thirst and forgot all about his tapasya. His lips and throat dried up from fear. Markandeya discovered that there was a banyan tree that was untouched by all these ravages. He retired to the shade of the banyan tree and started to pray to Vishnu. Clouds gathered in the sky. They were thick and dark clouds, and they spread all over the earth. It started to rain, and it poured and poured. Water was everywhere and the earth was flooded. The water put out the fire. It rained continuously for 12 years. The oceans flooded the shores and the mountains were pulverized. Vishnu slept on the water. Markandeya did not know what to do. There was water everywhere and he floated on it. But he continued to pray to Vishnu. Vishnu spoke to Markandeya. "Do not be frightened, Markandeya," he said. "You are devoted to me and I shall protect you." Markandeya did not realize that it was Vishnu who was speaking. "Who dares to address me thus?" he demanded. "Am I a child that I should be so addressed? I am the great Markandeya, blessed by Brahma himself." But try as he might, Markandeya could not see anyone anywhere. Where had the voice come from then? Had it all been an illusion? Not knowing what to do, he started to pray again to Vishnu. Suddenly he saw the banyan tree floating on the water. A golden bed was spread on the branches of the tree, and on the bed there slept a small boy. Markandeya was exceedingly surprised to see the small boy floating in the middle of this deluge. He was so confused by his illusions that he did not realize that this boy was none other than Vishnu. The boy spoke to Markandeya. "You are tired," said the boy. "You are looking for a refuge. Enter my body and rest for some time." Markandeya was so confused that, before he could react, he entered the boy's body through the mouth. Inside the boy's stomach, Markandeya discovered all the worlds, the 7 regions and the 7 oceans. The mountains and the kingdoms were all there. So were all living beings. Markandeya did not know what to make of all this. He started to pray to Vishnu. No sooner than he had started, he came out of the boy's mouth. Vishnu now appeared before him and blessed him. The sage spent 1,000 years with Vishnu. Vishnu then asked, "I wish to grant you a boon. What is your desire?" "I want to build a temple to Shiva in Purushottamikshatra," replied Markandeya. This will prove to everyone that Vishnu and Shiva are really one and the same. Vishnu granted the boon, and Markandeya built a temple to Shiva known as Bhuvaneshvara, Lord of the World.